All right. So today I'm going to talk about how does competition affect bank risk. The 2008 financial crisis has reignited the interest from policymakers and academia in bank competition, and to the extent of how policies and rules might affect bank competition. As in many other industries, competition is something desirable in the banking sector for its efficiency and for the maximization of social welfare. However, due to the special roles and functions of banks, it is also important to make sure that banks are not only competitive and efficient, but also stable. So here, I actually put a quote from The Economist magazine in 2009. That is, nowadays many policymakers seem to think that some curbs on competition might be a price worth paying in order to improve bank stability. So the question here is that whether there is a trade-off. Does competition increase bank risk? Or perhaps competition might help reduce too big to fail and actually helps reduce bank competition? This is a very classic question and has been debated actually among academia for many years. And there are many differing views. To put it simple, we summarize these views into two views. Okay, the competition fragility view versus the competition stability view. The competition fragility view says that competition will reduce bank profitability and also reduce the bank's franchise value, and therefore it encourages banks to take more risk. Therefore, we say it reduces banks' resilience. At the same time, bank competition may reduce the bank's capability to maintain their old customers. We say bank competition reduces relationship lending, and therefore it reduces bank stability. The competition stability view holds, however, that competition could reduce the lending rate and therefore reduce the adverse selection of borrowers, meaning that competition can help the banks to use the low lending rates to attract good customers, and therefore it helps banks to maintain stable. At the same time, competition may make banks more transparent and also comparable from each other, which facilitates the private or official monitoring. Therefore, it helps reduce bank risk. Of course, there are some scholars who actually incorporate both competition stability view and competition fragility view and argue that there could be some nonlinear relationship between bank competition and risk. So as I just mentioned, this is a classic question, right? So many people could ask, how does competition affect bank risks? So what is the catch of our research, right? Actually, to measuring competition is not something easy, because competition could be associated with many factors. And it is not easy to actually tease out the effect of competition on bank risk, to study the net effect of competition on bank risk. So we actually make use of the dynamics of the Regal-New interstate banking deregulation to study bank competition. Let me give you some explanation of this interstate banking deregulation. So before this deregulation, all the banks within the US are only allowed to operate within their home state. So if this is a bank operates in California, they are not allowed to establish subsidiaries or branches outside California. All right. However, this deregulation relaxed this restriction. This deregulation is carried out at the state level, and it started by each state signing bilateral, multilateral agreements between each other. However, it was unfolded pretty much in a chaotic manner, and it lasted for a long time, so from 1982 until 1985. We actually studied the detailed process of this deregulation of each state in each year, and we also incorporate the gravity model of investment to study, this bank competition. Without showing the complicated mathematics, so actually I want to use this map to illustrate the interstate banking deregulation in the US. So this is the map in the United States. And this map shows the interstate banking deregulation process in the state of California. So the white here, the state is California. And the year on each state shows the year of the bank's in each state that are allowed to enter into California. So from this map, we can see the state of California started interstate banking deregulation in 1987. And it takes a long time until 1995 that is finished. And the darker color on this map shows the later year of this deregulation. And we can see in 1987, California allowed 5 states to enter. They are Washington, Oregon, Utah, Arizona, and Texas. Okay, so what is the intuition here? Okay, how we're going to use this process to measure competition. Here, I use a very simple example. Assume there are 2 banks that are located in California. One is in the north, and the other is in the south. And the red rectangle here shows the potential banks that can enter California. All right? We say when California opens its door to Arizona, then the banks in the south faces greater competition than the one in the north. Because remember, Arizona is located in the south of California, right? So the gravity model of investment actually assumes that the cost of establishing a subsidiary is related to the distance between these 2 firms. In other words, the further the distance, the less likely that the banks would like to establish a subsidiary. Since Arizona is located in the south of California, if they want to cross the border to establish a subsidiary in California, if the bank in Arizona want to establish this subsidiary in California, they would choose a bank that in the south versus that in the north. So furthermore, if the state of California opens its door to Texas, then we say the bank in the south faces even greater competition than the one in the north. Okay, so this is the idea of how we consider competition here. We also use 2 measures to measure bank risk. So they are market-based. The total bank risk, we measure it using the volatility of daily stock returns. And we also measure the bank's tail risk, which is the expected loss in the 5% worst return days. So you can imagine this is how banks close to default. And we find that here, okay, we see, many positive numbers here, right? So basically, the results show that if we increase bank competition, there is a positive relationship between competition and total risk and tail risk. So the increased competition will increase total risk and tail risk. Okay. To summarize, so here we actually use a new approach for identifying the impact of competition on bank risk, and we use a market-based measure for bank risk. We also exploit the dynamic process of interstate banking deregulation, which integrates the gravity model of investment, and our findings are that the intensification of competition can materially increase bank risk. Okay, that's my presentation. Thank you.